All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's 12:30, so we'll get started. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's the April Board of Directors meeting for Workforce Solutions Rural Capital Area. And I'll ask Alfonso if he'll do roll call, please.
Certainly. Thank you, Chairperson. Good day, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Start off at the top of the list with Mr. Hector Aguilar.
Present.
All right, Hector. Carol Belver. Carol Belver. I'll mark her absent for now. Ben Brenneman. Ben Brenneman. Okay. Debbie Burkhart.
I'm here.
Thank you, Debbie. Camille Clay.
I'm here.
Hi, Camille. Marco Cruz. Marco Cruz. Sandra Dillett. Sandra Dillett. Woody Egbertson.
Present.
Thank you, Woody. Click on. Okay, Renee Flores.
Here.
Hello, Renee. Jenna Von Thomas.
Here.
Hi, Jenna. Becky Garlick.
Present.
Thank you, Becky. Kimberly Goody.
Here.
Hi, Kimberly. Denise Harlan. Denise Harlan. Tracy Jackson.
I'm here.
Thank you, Tracy. And Mr. Mike Kammerlander.
Here.
Thank you, Mike. And Mr. Frank Leonardis is here. Jeff Light. Jeff Light. Miss Margaret Lindsay. I see you, Margaret. Briley Mitchell.
Present.
Thank you, Briley. Sandra Moya.
I'm here.
Thank you, Cassandra. Tim Oles.
I'm here.
Hello, Tim. Even Riggs. Mr. Even Riggs. John Robinson. John Robinson. And Alfonso Cifuentes is present. Nikki Stallings. Nikki Stallings. Scott Staten.
Present.
Scott. Thank you, Scott. Jennifer Tucker.
Here.
Thank you, Jennifer. Elva Zeb. Elva Zeb. We have 18 present.
Alfonso, this is Carol Belver. I'm here.
Okay, well, that's 19 present then, correction. Thank you. We have quorum.
All right, thank you.
Chair.
Right. Diane, has anybody joined for public comment?
No, Frank, there's no public comment request at this time.
Thank you. All right, next item on our agenda is information sharing regarding customer testimonials for Brian. Brian, are you on? Brian there?
He was on, oh, there he is. Oh, he's frozen.
Today, we'd like to introduce Marisol Garcia, who's a customer come into our San Marcos Center that worked with our youth services team to find some solutions for some of the challenges in her life. Angela Maldonado and Jessica almost worked on this project with us and worked directly with Chris Caballero and her youth services team. And we're just so proud of really the success that Marisol has had, and we'd love to share her story with you.
So much help out in the workforce, like take it, get out of your comfort zone, and it will literally make a change in your life. Like you will never regret it. You will be so thankful with the workforce, and it'll be like, you will be amazed at what kind of help that the workforce offers to the youth. And I say, just jump it, just jump the hurdle like it's nothing, and don't look back. Hello, my name is Marisol. I did the youth program at Workforce, and I completed a dental assistant, or the dental assistant school. Before the training, it was kind of hard because I worked at Walmart, and I was just really tired of working in that type of environment, and I just didn't know how to get out. I'm not a confident person, so I usually don't go out of my comfort zone. But I have lupus. I had just gotten a kidney, and my brother had given it to me, and so I needed money. I had hospital bills. I had things to do, and during COVID, I was like, you know what? I have to work Walmart. And I was scared because there was so many people at Walmart, and I just knew that I had to take care of myself a lot more than other people. And that was the tipping point for me to quit and get into school. Like my friend told me try dental school because she tried it, and when I saw the price of dental school and all that, I felt stuck. But then Miss Kim from our dental school told me about Workforce and a program that helps students with it. I decided to just do it. I didn't think about it twice. I just went ahead and did it. Like, this program helped us out a lot because we did not have the financial need to even pay for the school. Let's just be honest, we didn't. And because of the Workforce, it actually helped us tremendously. My father and mother didn't have to overwork, or I didn't have to stress about that even more. And I guess it helped us out more than anybody thinks, because it really is, it makes a huge difference. So the Workforce helped me so much with the shoes, the uniform, and everything. I was actually very, very shocked that y'all offered that. I told my mom and dad, hey, I don't know how I'm gonna pay for the uniforms. They're pretty expensive, for just me only. And I had just quit Walmart and my job, and I didn't have money to buy new shoes. Shoes were $79, and I was just like, oh, I don't have that. But when they Workforce said, hey, we can supply you with the uniform, and if you need things printed out, or things like that, I was taken back, because that was one less thing to stress about. And y'all were really open with what y'all could help us with or help me with. And now that I finished school, which was a huge accomplishment, because being dyslexic and doing it, because I felt like it was a short amount of time, so it moved quick. And having that accomplishment actually made me feel like, hey, I could do it. I doubted myself for so long then. But now look at what I could do. I feel like I've kind of grown in my confidence because I've always thought like, hey, my mental capacity isn't that high, you know, compared to my brother. He is so smart. He catches on to things really fast. And now I'm just like, hey, it might take a little time and might take more effort than some other people, but I could achieve it. Like, it's not possible. Like, it's possible. And honestly, like, it's the best thing I've ever done for myself.
Great. Well, we're just so pleased with Marisol's success. As you heard directly from her, our wraparound services did more than just eliminate some of the barriers in her path. In a lot of ways, as you heard directly from her, we inspired her to reinvest in herself and to see the value that she had to offer. And that really she could conquer any challenge that was in her way with or without us. We were just happy to play a role in her success. But again, you know, this is all a credit to everything that you have provided us, all the guidance and the leadership, and you have really instilled in us and really helped our team kind of focus in on. And thanks so much for our youth services team for really delivering and getting out there and working with our customers to find some sustainable outcomes. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity to speak with you and to share Marisol's story.
Thank you, Brian. All right, next item on our agenda is consideration for the approval of the consent agenda, which is adoption of our minutes from our March 4th meeting and continuation of the COVID-19 policy. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. So moved. All right, a motion and a second.
Seconded.
Thank you. All right, with a motion and a second, any discussion? Those minutes and the COVID policy are all in your board packet. All right, hear no discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And of course, for those online, please vote on the poll that should be up on your screen. Are there any opposed?
We've got the voting completed as well online.
Okay. All right, thank you, Diane. All right, motion carries. All right, next item on our agenda is going to be a presentation of the audit that was completed by Milo Martinez. Milo, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Milo. We'll let you take it from here.
All right, thank you. Board members and chairman, good afternoon. Milo Martinez, the engagement partner with Martinez, Rosario and Company, your external auditors. The first report I'm going to do is the audit report. Right now, you've got the other report on the screen, so if we could switch to the larger report. There we go, that one. Thank you. And I want to, if you can move to page 2, which is PDF page 5. One more page. There we go. Thank you. The first part is the independent auditor's opinion, and that's found on the top of numerical page 2 or PDF page 5. And the opinion is there at the top of the page. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the board as of June 30th, and the changes as net assets and cash flows for the year that ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. So this is an unmodified or clean opinion that we found the financial statements to be materially correct, both your balance sheet or your statement of financial position, if you're a business, it's a P&L, it's called a change in your statement of activities, which is change in net assets as opposed to net income, and then the cash flows. So again, all of those we found to be fairly stated. It's reflecting the records of the board. The next set of reports that I'm going to cover are on pages 15 and 16 of this same document, PDF pages 20 and 21. And those reports, the report is called, the report that we're going to is the Independent Auditor's Report on Internal Control over Financial Reporting and on Compliance and Other Matters based on an audit of financial statements performed in accordance with government auditing standards. So one more page. Okay, thank you. This report is required once you receive federal dollars, $1 and up, then it's required, or any of your funding sources require this. So what we're required to do in this part is we follow the auditing standards in the US set by the AICPA. Then we have to follow the government auditing standards. These require a couple of areas that we have to concentrate on. One is the internal control over financial reporting. So those are the controls that the agency utilizes every day to prepare its financials and reconcile and conduct all the transactions. So we've looked at those and to see that there's not any problems or issues as far as what we call deficiencies or some communication, either significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. We found no deficiencies that we're reporting back to the board. They were functioning correctly, and they are producing the appropriate results. So again, that was fine. There are no internal control findings for us to report in this section. If you go to the next page, then as part of our government auditing standards, on the next page is the compliance and other matters. So here we look at compliance with laws, regulations, and grant provisions that if you did not comply with would trigger some kind of liability or contingency back to the organization. Again, we found full compliance with the major laws and regulations that you have to comply with. So there's no issues here. And again, it's a clean, there are no what we call non-compliance findings. None of those occurred. Moving on to the next set of reports, which are on pages 17 through 19, or PDF 22 through 24. And this report is the Independent Auditor's Report on Compliance. Whoops, a little too far. Further down. Let's see. Oops, something's not right. Yeah, you're too far to the beginning. PDF page 22.
From the way you do the report, if you want to just continue, I'll try to catch up with you as you go along.
Okay, I'm on pages 17 through 19 of this report, PDF pages 23 to 24. Let me go ahead and start on that. The Independent Auditor's Report on Compliance for each major program, each major federal or state program, and internal control over compliance required by uniform guidance in the state of Texas Single Audit Circular. So as I mentioned earlier, we have to comply with the government auditing standards because you've got federal grants and you also have state grants. We have to comply with two more sets of regulations. One being the uniform guidance, which guides our audits of federal programs. And then the state has adopted pretty much a lot of the same items that are in uniform guidance, but it's got some unique characteristics. The state of Texas Single Audit Circular. So we look at your grant programs, and from there we test we have to get a certain amount of dollar coverage in the dollar volume of the grant program, be it a federal or a state. And so this year we looked at the child care, that's being your largest program at the federal and at the state level. And we found you to be compliant with it, that you have an unmodified or a clean opinion. And the opinion will be found, if I think you scroll up one page, it should be there at the very top, right there. It says, in our opinion, the board complied in all material respect with the types of compliance requirements referred to above that could have a direct and material effect on each of its major federal or state programs for the year ended June 30th, 2020. So again, you're fully compliant there. The next section, just like we looked at internal controls over financial reporting, we have to look at internal controls over compliance. So that's what we've done in the next section. And then it's clean there. We have no findings to report in that area. And so again, that was a clean report. The next section that I'm going to now is the schedule of findings and question costs. I think you were on it just a second ago. Pages 24 and 25 or PDF 29 through 30. And as you look at that particular report, as you come down, it's got the different check marks, and basically it's summarizing the reports that I've covered already. So the report that was on pages 1 and 2 is covered at the very top where it says unmodified. That's a type of financial statement report. The next 3 lines deal with the government auditing standards report, that was pages 15 and 16. Again, those were all clean, as the notes indicate. The next section deals with the uniform guidance and state single audit circular. And so you can see there were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies to report. You have an unmodified or a clean opinion, both at the federal and the state level for your child care grants. There were no other items that needed to be disclosed as far as findings. As you move on to the document here, there it talks about the program that we looked at the federal level, and then we have a threshold. Generally, this is $750,000. As you can see, it's 239. You had more funding this year, it increased it, and it's 3%. So once you get over 25 million in either federal or state, that number will increase. And so in this case, it's $840,239. You were a low risk auditee, so that allowed us to look at less programs since you've got a good track record. And then on the next page, it summarizes state programs, which I had mentioned earlier, with the child care. Their threshold for type AB is a smaller, you've got fewer dollars, but anyway, theirs is that standard is $300,000. You were also a low risk auditee. So all of that, again, shows a good track record. There were no financial statement findings or federal or state award findings, so none of that. And then on the last page, with the summary schedule of prior audit findings, if there were any findings in the previous year, we would report on them in this part. There were none to follow up in either federal or state, so you were clean there. So that concludes this particular report. If we can go back to the smaller report, I think that was at the beginning of that you had opened up earlier, the communication with those charged with governance. And it's a small 4-page report, actually six-page report. The last page has the adjustments. The first page is just the title, the cover sheet. And my outline covers all the bullets in there, the qualitative accounting aspects of accounting policies. You had some new accounting policies that you had to adopt, which are 2014-09 and 2018-08. Both of these had no impact on how you reported for the year. They're in note 2 of your financial statements. But again, those were adopted. Everything you've done that you use for your accounting and financial reporting is within the authoritative guidance. There are accounting estimates in there that deal with primarily the larger estimates are those with the depreciation lines that are selected for your capital or fixed assets, and then the any allowance that you might have for doubtful accounts as far as collectability. So we've looked at those. We found those to be reasonable and consistent with previous years, and so again, those were good. There were no difficulties we encountered, and we got full cooperation. Corrected and uncorrected misstatements. Any adjustments that we've made are attached to the report at the end, and we've had a couple of adjustments there, some reclassifications, and then the rest are just to capitalize the fixed assets that under grant accounting that you follow during the year, you expense them, but for GAAP, we have to capitalize them and depreciate them over their useful lives. Disagreements, there were no disagreements. Everything was done in the normal course of conducting the audit and following our standards. Management representation was signed that was dated March 29th, 2021. There were no consultations by managements or the board seeking second opinions from any for many other CPAs. There are no audit findings or other issues that need to, that would impact our retention and appointment as your auditors. Other matters, there is the another financial statement in there that we are issuing an opinion, which is the schedule of expenditures of federal and state awards. Again, it reconciles and matches up with your financial statements. So we've issued an in relation to opinion, and it's also equivalent of a clean opinion on your financials. As far as restricted, this report is strictly for the board and your funding sources and management. But obviously, I think once you accept it, it becomes a public document. And there on current year comments and prior year comments, there were none. So there were nothing to report there from the previous year or anything that we're recommending for this year. That concludes my presentation. Be glad to take any questions on any of the two documents that I've covered. If there are none, again, want to express our firm's thanks to that you hired us and enabled us to be your external auditors. And I want to thank y'all very much. And all the cooperation that we received from your staff.
Thank you, Milo.
Thank
for
you.
Going through that. What I'd like to do now is see if I can entertain a motion to approve the audit that was presented by Milo.
I motion.
Thank you. And a second?
I second.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, with a motion and a second, I can open up the floor for discussion. Any discussion relating to the audit? Or further questions for Milo? No? Okay, so for those on online, there should be a poll open for your vote. At this point, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Frank, we've got 19 votes for approval of the audit.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to take this, that motion carries. Sorry, thank you. I'd also like to take the chance to thank Janie and all of the board staff that have worked through this audit, as well as the workforce center management and childcare staff. All we do every day to have kept the financials nice and clean and be able to successfully get through this audit with an unmodified opinion has been fabulous. We've come a long way and certainly appreciate everybody's efforts in that. Thank y'all. All right, next item on the agenda is my chair report. So not a whole lot to report. We did have our executive committee meeting on April the 14th. We do have one item that the executive committee would like to bring forward to the board and recommend approval for the summary plan description. This is nothing new. It's the summary plan description of the benefits for the board staff. It's just that the auditor asked if we would get actual approval of the board and this signed, which has not been taken place, but it's not a new document. It's just the SPD for our current health benefits, well, all employee benefits, sorry, not just the health benefits. So that is in your board packet. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the summary plan description.
I so move. Jenna Vaughn Thomas.
Thank you, Jenna. And a second.
Camille, I'll second.
Thank you, Camille. All right, with a motion and a second, any discussion relating to the summary plan description? All right. Diane, do you have the poll for that, for the approval of this? All right, for those online, that should be up for your vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
And Frank, we have 20 who have voted online as well.
Okay. All right, thank you. Motion carries. Just another quick thing relating to my chair report. If you have not seen, we have begun, the staff has begun the rollout of the county plans in each of the county for the strategic plan and starting to form the workforce coalition meetings. So Blanco County took place on April the 14th. Burnett and Llano County took place Monday the 19th. Lee County is scheduled for the 27th of April at 2 p.m. Williamson County is scheduled for May the 6th at 10 a.m. And Fayette County is scheduled as well May the 6th, and that's at 2 p.m. The other counties are in the works to be scheduled. I would just like to ask each of you as board members to please participate in that process of those meetings if you're able to, when those are scheduled for your area. You're welcome to join all of them, but certainly encourage your participation in the ones that are scheduled for the county that you represent. It's a huge step forward for us to actually get all the community partners together, education, business leaders, other stakeholders in each of these counties to all come together and put together this strategic plan. And your support is certainly needed and appreciated. So if you don't have the information on when those are scheduled for the counties that you represent, or if you want all of them, you can just let Paul know or Kara, and she'll make sure to get you that information, or you can email me and I'll get it to you as well. So again, please join those and participate if you're able to.
Right, I asked, we're gonna make a calendar, put all those on a calendar. We'll send it out to all the board members so they know when each event is happening. We're trying to do that.
All right. And like I said, Burnett, Blanco, and Llano have already taken place. If you didn't get to participate, you can have a makeup day on one of the ones that's not the county you represent. So it's really enlightening to listen to folks from these areas talk about the things that are really near and dear to their heart to make their communities viable from both, a housing, education, and employment in those areas. So again, it's great to see these things happening. Thanks, Paul, and all the staff for pushing this forward. So I know it's been a tough project to handle through the pandemic. We started this just prior to the pandemic and having to do all this virtually and everything, but thank y'all for continuing to push this forward and make this happen. Next item on our agenda is report from the Business and Education Services Committee.
Okay, I guess that would be me. I am the new chair of that committee. The committee met last Thursday. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend my first meeting. Not saying much for me, but medical stuff came instead. So I'm just going to defer to Kara and bring you up to date what happened there. Thank you.
Sure. So we introduced Roberto Perez at this meeting because he is the new project director. And is that correct, Mike? He's with Equus, and we wanted to make sure everyone got a chance to meet him. We did introduce a policy regarding childcare priority, but we did decide to table this discussion because Tdbc is still having some back and forth about implementing. So we wanted to make sure we had full information from them before we move forward. In addition to that, we presented the strategic plan to the committee, and which outlines some of an updated role for some of the committees to participate, and the role that they can play in helping us move forward and evaluate our progress. So we went through that with the committee. And there was interest in applying this in the form of industry coalitions that can better inform the way we serve the region. And Hector brought up some really great projects that are going on regionally to see if we can explore and get more involved in them. And we did, and Paul did end the meeting by asking us all to remember that we do have to be cognizant of the needs of our rural capital area employers and job seekers specifically. There are a lot of great opportunities going on throughout the region, but it is important that we make sure that our priority is towards the specific needs of these two groups. And then we adjourned.
Thank you, Kara. Does anybody have any questions for that committee? Okay. As Kara mentioned that Roberto Perez had joined them in that meeting. He has joined us here today. He's here with us in the San Marcos office. So to the rest of the board, I'd like to introduce Roberto Perez, new Deputy Project Director for Equus. And like, if you'd like to say anything, Roberto.
Excited to be with you. Been going around, or at least here to San Marcos today, and plan to visit all the other offices with the area managers to get familiar with the staff. So it's excited to be part of the team.
All right. Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is a committee report from the Community Awareness Committee. Camille, are you going to present that?
Yes. Hello, everyone. We did meet on March the 24th and had almost everyone in attendance. And we also welcomed a new member to our committee, Debbie Burkhart. And so we're really glad to have her join us. We did have our information sharing. And our guest for this particular meeting was Kimberly Good, who is one of our board members. And Kimberly is Executive Director of the Literary Council for Williamson County. And, you know, every time we have, you know, it seems like so many of us are facing some of the same, you know, issues. One of their primary goals in their program is to provide adult basic education, GED, ESL services, vocational training, and so forth. And they have a staff of 5 people, but they do rely a lot on volunteers, like 125 volunteers. They usually serve about 900 folks within that organization. But, you know, when she talked to us a little bit about some of their biggest challenges, which are, you know, some of the same things that we've all been facing. You know, how do you recruit students online who don't, you know, have access to online options? So how do you recruit them if you can't reach them? And so it's been a challenge, and it sounds like they've made great strides in trying to overcome that, like many of us have. So we appreciate Kimberly being able to come in and visit with us. We in our information discussion section of our agenda, Brian has been bringing different items to us, different upcoming events, and we've been given feedback on that. And so we talked a little bit about the board's strategic workforce plans and about the National Internship Awareness, and gave some feedback on that. Then Brian went into some of his the basic reports that he typically gives to us at our committee, the different events that are coming on. I don't know if everyone had an opportunity. I was not able to actually join the kickoff, but I did go back and watch the online version or the recorded version that Brian sent out. And I just thought it was a tremendous job, Brian. So I just wanted to publicly recognize you, because I just thought you did a marvelous job on that event. And I'm sorry that I couldn't join live, but I did take the time to go back and watch that. And with that, Nellie Reyes came in and talked to us a little bit about the PAS program and the rollout of that. And with that, we went ahead and adjourned, we set our next meeting for May 19th and adjourned.
Thank you, Camille. Somebody have any questions for the Community Awareness Committee? All right, thank you. Next item on our agenda is a Governance and Finance Committee report. I'll let Renee or Janie to go ahead and go through any of the highlights of the financial reports, and then we'll talk about consideration of a budget adjustment, budget amendment, and a fiscal policy revision. But Renee, if you wanted to go over the financial statements briefly, that'll be good.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. So in our meeting, we reviewed the most current financials, and in your packet, starting on page 96, if I'm not mistaken, is the where the financials kind of live. And everything is going smoothly. For your consideration, Frank will call this vote in a moment, is an amendment to the budget. Mostly the result of two line items where we have received additional monies. $80,000 for rural healthcare initiatives and another $1.5 million for the additional child care funds. So this will be the second amendment to the original budget, and it's a good thing, right? It's extra funding for more programs. And I think that is the result of the work that Diane did in the first quarter to gain some additional grant money. So that'll be for your consideration. If you'll look, page 97 of the documents kind of has the year-to-date numbers. Numbers are all in line. You'll see the additions of the proposed column of the revision to the budget. I think we've regained another $400,000 in grant money for the Summer Earn and Learn program. And then the only other item kind of mentioned is if you look at management services top line, it's a little higher than normal, but that's because all of the costs have been absorbed into the top line numbers and have not been allocated out to the individual branches and departments. So once that's done, that'll normalize those numbers more than, to where they should be. Beyond that, our cash position was a little light, but that's probably more of a result of timing. And as funds come in, again, we don't anticipate any issues. And then I think year to date, for income and expenses, we're almost $13.7 million. We've got it in, and we send it right back out to cover programs and services for the communities that we serve. And I will stop there, and I'll let Frank, if you want to call for that vote to the budget, amended budget request. And then I think there's an item beyond that for fiscal policies that Jenna will take the lead on as well.
Okay. Thank you, Renee. All right. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the budget adjustment.
So moved. This is Tim Olds.
Thank you, Tim. Any second?
I'll second it. It's Carol.
Thanks, Carol. All right, with a motion and a second, any discussion? It shows there on page 96 of your board packet, the third column there, the difference between the 2021 budget that previously had been approved and the current one that's being asked for your approval, the $80,000 for sorry, I lost my train of thought.
8,000 was for the RHI.
Yeah, for the Rural Health Initiative grant for management, services, employment services to manage that, and then the $1,536,200 for additional child care funding. All right. Any other discussion? All right, for those online, that should be up on your screen for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And Frank, we have all 20 people who have voted online as well.
All right, thanks, Diane. Next is I'd like to entertain a motion to approve changes to the fiscal policy. If we could get a motion for approval of the change to the fiscal policy.
I so move.
Okay, thank you. And a second?
Second, this is Elva.
Thanks, Alva. Okay, with a motion and a second, can open the floor for discussion. Paul, were you going to cover this, or is Janie?
I'll be glad to go through the
Oh, Jenna, yeah,
amendment.
that's
if
right,
all
sorry.
right. Okay,
Okay,
There
thanks,
are-
Jen.
you're welcome. Good afternoon. There are 3 changes in the fiscal policy. This is due to the federal code of regulations being updated. So the changes are that we can now use non-competitive procurement for micro purchases, that the board is able to determine what is an adequate number of quotes for a small purchase on a case-by-case basis. And we also went in and removed some outdated language. So the first section on non-competitive method of procurement states that we can use that in our micro purchases, which are under $10,000. If you go down to the small purchase method, we include the language that we can determine an adequate number of quotes on a case-by-case basis. And if you go down to the last policy in micro purchases, it again states that micro purchases can be awarded without competitive price or rate quotations. So this is just keeping us in line with the latest updates in the Code of Federal Regulations.
Okay, thank you, Jenna. Any other discussion on this? The change to the fiscal policy? This was considered by the Governance and Finance Committee and recommended for approval by the board. So, all right. Any other discussion? Diane, if you could bring up the poll for the vote to approve the change to the fiscal policy. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, Frankie, we have all attendees what have completed their voting as well.
Okay. Thank you. Motion carries. All right, the next item on our agenda is a Chief Executive Officer report from Paul.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everybody's having a great day. So we continue to do more in-person events as things trend back towards some degree of normalcy. We just finished attending a virtual Workforce Commission forum that was held on Monday afternoon and Tuesday of this week. Got to see some best practices from some of our cohorts from around the state on how they're using technology, and I think we're right there with them as we're doing things. I think some of our best practices have been copied quite a bit, and we're learning some things from others. So I think overall that's a good thing, and we look forward to continuing to do that. The Workforce Commission, they voted in their meeting yesterday to published the planning allocations for program year 21-22, which starts October 1. We are getting more money in every fund next year than this year, except for SNAP, which was down statewide. So we were pleased with that. Not every board in the state went up in funding that way. It has to do with their formulas, a lot around population growth. As we know, our area is growing by leaps and bounds, and we're the beneficiaries of those funding allocations that are going to give us more WIOA and choices money to go along with the other things that we have. I appreciate you guys hanging in there through the presentation of the audit. I know that's like watching paint dry, but I think it's important that you guys see that and know that we're having that done by a real entity. There was a story, you know, in the past from somebody that was not very far from this area, they were faking audits and got away with it for years. And I don't ever want you guys to question where the money is, where things are going. I want this to be as open as possible, and it's the best practice that we have the auditor come and present to both the board and to our finance and governance committee, so that questions can be asked, and you can see that there's a real entity there doing that audit. And I'm very pleased with our fiscal staff and with our auditor, the way they work together, the way they got things done. We've made significant progress in that area over the past 3 years, and we look forward to that getting better every year. We've started implementation on the Rural Healthcare Initiatives grant, the $2.5 million grant that we got from Department of Labor. We're beginning to work with our partners, Workforce Network, Inc., with the Community Resource Center in the Burnett, Llano areas. That's going well. So for the rest of this year, that money I'll just approved in the budget, that $80,000 will go toward staff time for the things that they'll be working on that particular grant. And then starting October 1, we'll actually start recruiting customers to go to trainings for healthcare, to go to work for employers in that area. Let's see, we've got, in addition to Roberto joining Mike's staff, we have 2 new staff at the board level. I don't think y'all have had a chance to meet them yet. Chris Myers is one of those staff. She's going to go to work in the contracts area and help us out with the implementation on the Rural Healthcare Initiative. She is out in the Marble Falls area today with, I think, Nellie and Eugene to meet the new head of workforce, the workforce dean from Central Texas College. They just hired that position. We worked with them they worked with us as a partner on that Rural Healthcare Initiative grant. And they were recognizing the significance of workforce training. And they brought that dean on to be able to supervise that and help direct those efforts better. So we're looking forward to working with Central Texas College in a new way as that moves forward. And we'll get to meet that dean. The rest of us will. And then the other new staff that we hired was Linda Williamson. Previously, she was on Mike's staff as Mike's deputy project director. And she's now also in our contracts department as well. I've known Linda for a long time. When I first got into workforce, work as a contractor, Linda was working there at Lockheed Martin with Bill Grossenbacher. And she was very helpful to me as we started up this rural capital contract back in 1997. So she's got a good background in workforce development. I won't say how old she is, but welcome aboard to those 2 staff. And then there's 2 upcoming events I wanted you guys to be thinking about. The first is our board retreat. We've been trying to do that in the January, February timeframe. And we didn't do one last year because of COVID. Actually, we did do one last year. We were in Georgetown last year in February. We didn't do one this year. That's what, in 2021. And we had our childcare staff, our childcare contractor had planned a staff event at Canyon of the Eagles, which is out in Burnett County. It's kind of remote. And they're not going to be able to use the deposit that they put up for that event, which is about $8,000. And the resort, the Canyon of the Eagles place, will not let us extend that beyond this calendar year. So in order to not lose the deposit, I thought, let's have our board retreat there. We'll do it both virtual and in person for people that can't be there. So we're planning to do that on October 20th and 21st. So it would be an overnight on the 20th. We would start about noon on the 20th and go till about 4 o'clock on the 21st. And I know that it's a large amount of time to ask from y'all, but I think it's been pretty beneficial, pretty valuable, the last couple of events we've done. So if you can make arrangements to be there, we'd love to have you there, but we want to find out how many people can attend so we can get the room count right. But if you can't be there in person, we'll make arrangements for you to be able to join virtually, which is not, I don't think anybody's gotten the virtual thing down perfectly yet, to where it's as good as being there in person, but it's still better than not being able to attend at all. The second thing is the annual Tdbc conference. So last year they canceled their conference in the fall, which would have been in the fall of 2020. So this one is November the 17th through the 19th of this year, 2021. And that's going to be in Houston at the Marriott Marquis, which I believe is right close to the George R. Brown Convention Center. We've done some things down there before. It's a nice area, downtown Houston. It's a lot different than downtown Houston used to be when I was much younger. But it's always a good event. They bring in great speakers. There's good opportunities to learn more about what happens in workforce development. Not just in Texas, they have people come in from all over the country to participate in that conference. So if you would like to attend that conference, again, let me know. We'll start making arrangements for people to be there. Usually starts at about noon on Wednesday and runs to about noon on Friday. Two last things. These are kind of thank yous, but I want to thank you guys as board members for your participation. I know you take a lot of time away from your regular business or your regular job duties, and I appreciate you being there. It's important. I think we've seen that on some of the coalition meetings, county kickoff meetings that we've done. We had really good representation at those meetings, and it's good for our partners and others from the other stakeholders from the area to see our board members there. I think that this lends it a higher degree of sophistication when you guys are there and they know you all are helping drive these things. So thank you for being able to do that. My last thank you is to Jenna Hyde. Jenna is our administrative office manager back at our office there in Cedar Park. Today is Administrative Assistance Day, so I thought, well, it's just really appropriate for us to recognize Jenna Hyde. She does a great job, keeping me organized and straight most of the time, and she's also very helpful to the rest of our staff and getting our things like our board meeting organized, and the agenda done, and putting all those materials together. She makes it seem so routine, and when she's not able to do something because we've got her on other duties, it's really obvious that she didn't get to participate in it, because it usually doesn't come out very well when I do it. So I appreciate Jenna being there and doing what she does for us. So big thank you to Jenna Hyde, and that's it for me.
Yeah, likewise, definitely thank you, Jenna. I know she helps me tremendously, keeps me on track of what I'm supposed to be doing as well. So, all right, thanks, Paul. Is Jenna on? You should be.
I'm here.
All right, very good.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Jenna. All right, next item on our agenda is a child care performance report from Sandy.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy May. So as you can see on screen, the funds for childcare are being expended right along. We're spending a little over $1 million a month. So we certainly are on target for full expenditure of our budget. For our number of children in care, we're pretty much holding steady. We've only added about 100 children since the last time we visited. Yet in April, we did need to close enrollment, so we are now on full wait list. So the numbers that you see in front, the 1357, the next time we're together, they will begin to increase. Going forward, Diane, the next slide just quickly shows where we're at with childcare providers, and we are ever so slowly, but nonetheless, making it up to our target of 90 for the number of Texas Rising Star providers for this fiscal year. We also saw a fairly large number of new providers join us. And since March of 2020, even perhaps because of the COVID, but we did add over 60 providers. We lost some and we added some. So that says a lot for our childcare industry wanting to participate with the Child Care Development Fund program. So we're excited about that. And then, of course, in February, which is also equally as exciting, we are on target and will remain on target for the rest of the year. So that's the Child Care Program report. If there is no questions, I thank you so much for your time.
All right, any questions for Sandy? All right, thank you, Sandy. I know it's been a challenge providing childcare through the pandemic. You know, you hear about it in the news and amongst people all the time, of especially folks that were not able to rejoin the workforce or as fully as they wanted to because their provider was not available for them to have their children in care so they could go to work. So I know it's been a challenge for you all. Thank you for everything y'all have done through all this.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, next item on our agenda is the Workforce Center report from Mike.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see and hear from everybody. It's exciting to be here in San Marcos today and joining instead of behind the computer screen. It's really nice to be able to share with you guys. As you see right now off of our February NPR performance overview, we picked up a couple of new measures that are being pulled up to the NPR, which is the measurable skills gains. We're missing two of those, but on the next chart, when we get to that, can explain that a little bit better on what that is. Our median earnings Q2, we are actually currently working on finding some more earnings from customers that we had back about almost a year ago on what we're working on. That's kind of how that works, is finding those earnings and reporting those. So not everyone reports that and it doesn't get back to us. So we're working on that as we speak, matter of fact. So hopefully that is going to change. We're less than 2% from meeting that measure. So we're really, really close and we'll continue to drive and get that measure met hopefully before this next board meeting in June. Sorry, Diane, if you want to go ahead to the next slide and I'll explain the median earns. On the median earns, if you're looking at the chart there, the red arrow down at the bottom or 3/4 way down is rural capital. And I think we just have to go in and do a little bit of legwork on this. The credentialing and measurable skills gains kind of work hand in hand, sort of, in a way. When somebody gets a credential, that means they've completed a class. The measurable skills gains is when they've completed a course or in that class, we actually go in and provide them a service in twist saying that they've met that particular measure. And so if you look right next to, we're about 71% on the adult side. We're really close. We should be making that. We're 115% on credential rate. So if we go back in and take a quick look at those numbers and say, you know what, we missed one, we can actually go back in and fix those, and that would put us over the top. And the same thing would go with the youth on the youth side over here. We're at 85%. But we're at 137% credential rate. So it takes a little bit of us going back and doing a little bit of legwork and pulling that information together and providing those services for those particular customers. So, and other than that, we're meeting everything else and doing really well. Again, I would like to officially, in front of the board, welcome Roberto. He's the first first person that I've seen in a long time that's jumped right in, and the third day in, he was ready to rock and roll. So I was like, Roberto, let's go with it. So he's already made some big differences and big changes, and scheduling meetings and taking on the role very seriously. So thank you, Roberto, for everything. All right.
All right, thank you, Mike. Any questions for Mike or Roberto?
Well, I want to say thanks to Mike and his staff for getting on some of these things where measures have taken on a different tone during COVID. We've had to kind of change how they measure performance and how things normally work, because we're not seeing as many people. And now we're going to see a lot of people, but I appreciate their flexibility in addressing some of those changes. So thank you, Mike. And then to Sandy and her staff, I saw some information, I think it was yesterday. We're the only board area in the state that is not subject to de-obligation for childcare, because we have done such a good job of keeping people enrolled and spending our money throughout the year like we should. So not criticizing any of our peers from around the state, in case they're listening, but we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. We've done a good job doing that. So tip our hat to Sandy and her staff for getting that done.
Thank you, and Mike as well. Yeah, I know it's been a challenge serving the customers and everything through the pandemic, having the offices shut down, open, re-shut down, so I know you're still only operating off appointments, don't have the front doors wide open, but hopefully we're getting close to that. And thank you for continuing to work hard to serve the customers. So thank you all. All right. Next item on our agenda is any board announcements. Diane, did anybody submit anything for board announcements?
Chat. And no, we don't have any additional announcements from any board members.
Okay. Just to reiterate, I will get a calendar out there for all these county kickoff meetings and the coalition meetings, so you can know when they're happening and be able to join those when you can. And then we'll send you information about both the board retreat and the Tdbc conference coming up in November, so you can take a look at your calendars and see whether or not you can participate in those events. We'll get that out this week.
Okay. All right. Any new business for the board to consider?
Hi, everybody. This is Elva. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Elva.
Can you see me? Okay, I'm gonna take this off real quick. I'm sorry, I'm in a public space. I'm actually in Missouri, supporting workforce in Missouri as well as in Texas. I know it's odd, but that's where they put me. And I just wanted to share with you that I've been working with the Missouri workforce a whole bunch to schedule the positions here, and a whole bunch of international visa companies as well. But just on behalf of what we do with work in Texas and with rural cap, I mean, the difference is incredible. It's incredible. The amount of knowledge which is sitting in that room, as well as working at the centers. And I'm really appreciative, and now realizing the challenges that other states are facing. So this is a little kudos to the work that is done and to the decisions that are made. Great job.
All right. Thank you, Elva.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful traveling.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is consideration of a date and time for our next regular board meeting. I believe our next regular board meeting will be scheduled for June the 16th. Does that look right, Paul? Yep. Should be the same time, 12:30. We were discussing the possibility of having that board meeting back at our Round Rock board location. We will get that information out once that decision is final. All right, if nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Margaret. Thanks to everybody. Appreciate your time today. You guys have a great rest of your week.
Thank y'all.
Okay, bye.